morning, everyone. Welcome to Heroes Park on this beautiful, beautiful 4th of July day. We're going to begin our ceremony today with presentation of the colors by the Palm Coast Fire Department Honor Guard. As the color guard approaches, those of you who can, would you please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Mark time. Mark. Guard. Halt. Left. Face.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Reset. Arm.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order. Arm. Guard. Right. Face. Mark time. Mark. Forward. March.
Good luck. Thank you very much. That was beautiful. Please be seated. I recently came across a story about an American Stars for Troops organization that is honoring our military in a very unusual way. They removed 2,787 stars from damaged and discarded American flags. They washed, ironed, and distributed them to hundreds of men and women who are serving our country abroad. A note is attached to each star that says, "I am part of an American flag that has flown over a home in the United States. I can no longer fly. The sun and wind has caused me to become tattered and torn. Please carry me as a reminder that you are not forgotten." This article made me stop to appreciate the spirit that our nation brings each year to the celebration of our flag on Independence Day. The red, white, and blue, the stars and stripes, the star-spangled banner, Old Glory. Whichever name you bestow on the flag, you'll find there's always a piece of history to absorb. The colors in the flag, nicknamed red, white, and blue, explode with meaning. White signifies purity and innocence. Red means hardiness and valor. Blue denotes vigilance, perseverance, and justice. The stars on our flag symbolize the heaven and the divine goal to which man aspires for all times. Stripes are symbolic of the rays of light emanating from the sun. The nickname, the Star-Spangled Banner, was coined to describe a large pennant that had been created by seamstress Mary Pickersgill to fly over Fort McHenry in Baltimore Harbor in 1814. America had just won a victory over the British, and Francis Scott Key composed a poem that was later revised into the song Star-Spangled Banner, which eventually became our national anthem. The song referred to the battered flag that still flew over the harbor, regardless of the profound destruction in the battle. Finally, our United States flag was designated as Old Glory by Captain William Driver, a shipmaster in Salem, Massachusetts, in the 1820s. He named this flag as he departed the harbor for a trip around the world on a whaling vessel. With its then 24 stars and small anchor sewn in the corner of the cloth, Old Glory served as the ship's official flag throughout the voyage. And don't forget the 6 American flags that are still on the moon. Now that we've taken this moment together to reflect on a few interesting stories about our grand old flag, let's take another moment today to honor this venerable banner that flies above us. Whatever its nickname, wherever it is waved, the flag of the United States of America remains as our most revered and respected symbol of freedom. May we continue to forever honor its beauty and its representation of liberty. Forever in peace may it wave. Happy Independence Day to all of you. At this time, I'd like to call upon the Flagler Youth Orchestra, Cheryl Tristan, for a musical tribute. Thank you very much, Flagler Youth Orchestra. That was absolutely marvelous. I'd like to call upon some of our honored guests to join me at the podium, please. The readers. On a warm, humid Philadelphia morning, the members of the Second Continental Congress gathered together and pledged their lives, fortunes, and sacred honor. As they signed their names to this declaration, the sun began to rise on a new nation, an American nation. Thomas Jefferson wrote with such incredible passion and eloquence about human liberation and the promise of a democratic republic. Scholars believe Jefferson intended the Declaration to be performed, not just read. Its words and rhythm were written to be spoken in proud and defiant terms, in grand public places. On this glorious day, we honor the sacred words of this document in celebration of our freedom. Here now are those sentiments expressed on this day, but in 1776. In Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous Declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands that have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to this separation.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness.
Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same objective evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such a government and to provide new guards for their future security.
Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let the facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained, and when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend them.
He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people.
He has refused for a long time, after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions from within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers, swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount of payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and acknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us.
For protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies.
For taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy, scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy of the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens, taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands.
In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends.
He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the great state of Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states of right may do.
And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Thank you very much. A document we should probably all read more frequently. To conclude our ceremony this morning, musical presentation of the Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Coming of the Lord, He is trampling out the
this concludes our ceremony this morning. Let me remind you that there's a parade in Flagler Beach. They will have fireworks this evening. We will have a day's worth of celebration at Central Park tomorrow, and our fireworks start at about 9 o'clock. Have a wonderful 4th of July. Have a safe and happy holiday. Thank you very much for coming.